What's up, guys? This is Lucid Brain, and today we're going to talk about the SCP Foundation, which some of these you may probably have heard of, and some of these you probably have not. And we're just going to talk about everything involving the SCP Foundation. So, the first one I wanted to bring up, which you probably have heard of, is SCP-096, which is, he's called the Shy Guy, because if you see his face, whether that be actually seeing his face in person or in a picture or a video, doesn't matter. If you see his face, he has like an emotional tantrum and kills you. And he has I don't know if it's a he or a she. I don't think it has a gender. It has a 100% success rate of killing whoever sees its face. They don't specify how many people have seen its face. I assume it's been like quite a lot in the SCP Foundation, but yeah, and apparently no material has been known to stop it from like getting through it to kill you. So basically, they contain it in a cell with no windows or anything for obvious reasons, and if yeah, I don't think they have any cameras looking at it either. I mean, that would be stupid. So if someone like if a picture or a video got out to the public somehow, I don't know how that would happen, but if that happened, it could very well probably make humanity extinct. Maybe not extinct, but because not every person in the world has a cell phone, like a smartphone or something, but you know how people are. Like they would spread it on the news, they'd be like, look at this creature, and they would all die.
So what SCP is that? Because you said it and then you started talking and I couldn't figure out which one you said.
Oh, 096.
Okay, I was looking at it.
Yeah, so
So it didn't have a picture on there.
there's pictures of them online, like if you just type it in, but I don't know if the SCP Foundation website shows pictures that often. But that's one of the SCPs that could like not. I don't think it could destroy the world or anything, but it could probably come pretty close. Because what do you even do about that? Like say it gets out, like there's pictures of him floating around on the internet. He's killing everyone who's seen the pictures. However he knows that. I don't know how he knows that, but
Well,
what do
the
you
one
even do?
thing the one thing I will say is they deal with shit that's a lot worse than that and manage it pretty easily. So I think they would be able to fix that pretty quick.
What, like if it got out to the public?
Because it's pretty hardcore and like magic and his a bunch of like paranormal shit with it, but it's still kind of like a singular being, whereas other things like the one I want to talk about first, basically there's no way to stop it in any way.
Yeah, I mean, well, this one, he has to kill people one at a time. The people who see his face, and I assume he'll kill them in that order of the people who see his face. It's only a matter of time before he gets to everyone. I mean, people have theorized that like you could shoot SCP-096 into space or something, and like it would somehow still like find its way back to you and kill you, because nothing has been known. It doesn't eat, it doesn't drink or anything like that, so but it looks malnourished, so if it's implied that it eats something, but that one is malnourished, that particular one, so it could possibly be even stronger if it actually did eat whatever it eats.
It's kind of a weird theory. That's a really fucking weird theory.
Yeah, there's so many SCPs that are like, if this thing gets out to the public, everyone is just fucked. Like, that's not even close to being the worst one.
Yeah,
but
not
that's
even
one
close.
of them.
You know what? Before we get started really deep into this, I want to say this about it too. The fact that there's so many Keter threats in the SCP Foundation, like pretty much every single one of those, that means the world's ending gets out. how were they able to find these and handle all of them before all that shit happened in the first place? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
who knows?
if one of them escapes, then the world's ending. But they found it before the world ended. So, and there's like
Yeah.
so many of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the thing. There's another one I want to talk about later on that is exactly like that. It's just like, how did they find this thing before it just ended the world? I thought Keter, or I thought Euclid
Is
was.
Euclid the worst one, or is Keter the worst?
I don't know. I thought Euclid was, but some of them say Keter. Some of the really, really insane ones say Keter, so I don't really know. I think it depends on how difficult it is to contain.
Can we look that up real quick?
Yeah, I'll look it up. Okay, so Keter is worse, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I thought Keter was the worst one.
Euclid just means they're unpredictable and not really understood, and Keter just means they're a serious threat and they're difficult to contain, or they're uncontainable completely. But yeah, I guess you could do yours now.
Okay, first one that I want to do is called Uncle Johnny, or cousin. My bad, that's it's cousin Johnny, and that is SCP-2852.
Okay.
So basically, this is a middle-aged white male that looks humanoid, but has no organs other than, I think he has some sort of a brain. I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure he has no organs, and basically he doesn't have any vocal cords or anything, yet he's still able to speak, and he speaks in word salad gibberish. But how you know that you've been caught by him is he will make sense to you and sound like he's talking normally. And basically he goes to events like birthday parties, funerals, baptisms, and infects everyone there. And pretty much the longer you hear him talk, it just puts you in a trance. It just starts to make sense more. Yeah, and people end up like ripping their eyelashes off, their eyelids off, eating vomit, dunking a baby in blood. Like, it was just a bunch of random bullshit. And eventually some people die and some people don't, but it said like if it's a marriage, they will get divorced. If there's kids involved, the kids will grow up to kill the parents. Basically,
so what is he just like misfortune, basically?
Yeah, I guess he's kind of just like a virus that makes everything go wrong once it meets you. And I think it mainly just has to do with Catholics, like Catholic marriages, baptisms, funerals. So like if your family is Catholic or something, this one could potentially like decimate millions and millions of people. And I'm sure it can go to other things that aren't just like connected to the Catholic faith, but that's mainly what he targets, it seems like. Yeah. And one of them, he basically has everyone eat him alive, and then he's talking to you as you doing it and all sorts of shit. And it just like, it was pretty fucked up. I don't know if you want to like skim through it just so you have a better understanding than me telling it horribly.
I'm looking at it, but how, unless it's like really complicated, but how exactly does he infect people? Is it just by talking to him?
I guess his presence, pretty much.
Okay. So if you're just around him long enough, you just... Yeah. You're just infected. Okay.
And I think they've been able to track them, and they've seen some events where it happens, but it makes you have amnesia too, apparently.
So. Yeah, that's pretty scary. Especially since you... Like, how do you even... Like, obviously they have him contained, I assume, but like, how do you catch something like that? Because there would be no sign.
Yeah, I think the containment is they're pretty good at tracking him at this point, but I don't necessarily know if he's containable, because it kind of just pops up randomly and it seems to kill itself every time, so it just gets reborn. or there's something going on where there might be more than one of them. And if there's just a bunch of them and they do that, I mean, I guess you could try and find them every time before it happens.
Yeah, I'm
But-
reading it. Apparently, it's not contained, I guess. Like, it's not officially, like, contained. They just
Yeah,
have
it's just
to...
tracked.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's just tracked.
That's kind of crazy.
So I guess it doesn't seem necessarily malevolent. Like, I mean, it obviously does some bad things.
All
But
it does is
it-
exist, and it causes causes everyone around them to fall apart. So, I mean, it itself may not be malevolent, but what it does is,
Yeah,
whether
I
it's
mean,
intentional or not.
I'm just suggesting more or less it doesn't try and wipe out all of humanity, or it doesn't necessarily seem like it even has a goal in mind. It just kind of does what it does.
Yeah, right.
So, I mean, this one had me fucked up when I
Yeah, that's kind of scary.
read and listened to it, because it's just like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that's cool though. I like it. Scary as fuck. But... So
Yeah.
I guess I'll do mine.
Alright, that's fine.
So, SCP. You might think this one is stupid. I think a lot of people are gonna think this is dumb and not scary at all. But anyway, this is SCP-1471, and what it is it's a phone app. It's an app on your phone that's on the Play Store of whatever whatever you have, Android, iPhone, whatever it is. It's on there, and it has no developer, and it's able to bypass the application approval process. So it's just on the store, just because, and nothing can stop it from being on there. And what it does is once you install it, it won't show up as an app on your phone, so you won't even be sure you installed it. But eventually, pics in your gallery are gonna show up of the SCP just being in places you recognize. So it could be like your school or like your mom's house or something. And eventually, if you haven't uninstalled the app in like, I don't know, not like 90 hours or something like that, it'll start appearing in your actual life, like out of the corner of your vision, and it'll start like trying to communicate with you. And I don't know exactly what it says to you. I don't know if it's even necessarily malevolent, but it'll kind of torment you just by being constantly out of the corner of your vision, pretty much permanently.
So it doesn't kill you, though?
No, I don't think it kills you.
Okay, so it never kills anyone, so I mean, it's kind of... I guess if you had the information that no matter what, it won't kill you, you could just ignore it. Like,
Yeah,
you could
I
learn
mean,
to ignore that.
If it's something you can get used to, yeah. This thing just like creeping on you all the time. I mean, definitely be. I guess it would. You could get used to it if it doesn't harm you in any way. I don't think it does, at least. But they have people in the SCP Foundation constantly scouring the stores for this app, because apparently every time they take it down, it comes back on the store somehow. So,
And I didn't describe what it looks like. You've probably seen it before. It's like a canine it's like a canine skull with hair. And like that's the only way I can describe it. I can put a picture on screen too. But yeah, I thought that one was kind of creepy. And it's like, I just thought about it. If you don't uninstall it in 90 hours, you get like permanently stalked by the thing. But how are you gonna uninstall it if it doesn't appear in your apps? I just thought about that.
Here's the thing, you can uninstall things in the Play Store. I'm pretty sure.
That's true. I guess you could just find the store page and just uninstall it there. If you can find the store page. I don't know if it like disappears or some shit like that.
Well,
Or
if
you
it
could
didn't
just go to
say
your
that,
files. It says it's like It says on the website it's a 9.5 megabyte or something like that size file on your phone. So you could probably just go to your files and delete it, I assume.
Yeah, and honestly, I would think most people when they install an app and it says installed and they don't see it anywhere, would
Yeah.
look around because you installed something on your phone and it says
And you don't see it,
installed,
yeah.
unless you're like a fucking douchebag who just like, oh, I'm gonna download something, and then after you download it, you forget about the shit, or you like
Yeah.
you just download the shit, download shit, and then I
mean-
guess your ignorance is met with you dying in this case.
Yeah. I mean, there's no one who's, well, I can't say no one, but why would you install an app that has no developer? I don't think it has a description either.
It's like it's a very like default blank like app on the store, and I don't like. Why would you even install that in the first place, right? Like, there's no reason to. But I guess if someone's just curious, like going through apps on the store, maybe it says it's a 5-star app. You know how they rate the apps.
Well,
So I don't know.
let's look at it like this: if one of us went on the Play Store that we both had and saw something that's just totally fucking like weirdly mundane, where it's like, fuck, it doesn't have a publisher, it's fucking like super boring, we're gonna download this, and then I'm sure I know I would be like, yo, download this, you know?
Yeah, I mean, out of curiosity.
Just for the
I guess.
meme of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, you'd
'Cause,
see
I
that
mean-
it show up, you'd be like, what the fuck? Like,
Yeah, memes and curiosity are kind of like the same thing at this day and age, you know what I mean? So,
yeah. It's a pretty creepy looking thing. Would not want that thing in the corner of my vision everywhere I go. But yeah, you can do yours if you want.
alright, I'll do 414. So basically, it's a phenomenon that attacks asocial humans, and it is basically this thing with like a circular skull mask, and it typically claims to be an employee for like a social workplace, and basically I'm pretty sure what it does is if you come across it, it basically degrades you. Like, you'll start to get sick, you'll start to go insane, like your life will just fall apart. So it's kind of similar to the one before, but it just it actually seeks people out. So like it actually targets people, which is kind of fucked up.
Is it just like physical effects, or does it do something else?
Well,
too?
I think it makes people commit suicide more
Oh,
than
okay.
not. Just like makes your health go for a turn. Just basically like degrades you in every way. And from what I remember, I think it's like a 46%, 50% fatality rate once you come across it. So, you know, there's like not a great chance that you survive it. And it says the social worker, which I don't know how often you see someone with a mask on and you're gonna talk to them. I guess
Yeah.
in COVID, you could talk to a lot of people. It could talk to a lot of people because everyone has masks on.
If it's that kind of mask, then yeah, it would blend in perfectly.
I think it's a circular mask, but even if someone's wearing a circular mask and they have one of the stupid little masks on, I feel like you're more likely to talk than some weirdo that's not in a pandemic, because everyone's just so ready for social interaction and shit.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like people are more likely to talk to you since COVID because everyone has the mask and everyone's super frustrated around the entire world pretty much. So like that thing would fuck a lot of people up nowadays.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it would. I mean, and it just like talks to people and then that's it, you're just fucked, or is it like over time?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's pretty much just talking to it.
Okay.
Yeah, just if it has a face-to-face conversation with you, you're basically fucked.
well,
So pretty much
I mean, I would stand clear of someone who, like, was wearing an odd-looking mask to begin with. But the
Yeah,
thing is, if
so
they talk to you first, you're gonna respond in some way, right? Like you're most likely not gonna just ignore them. So if you don't necessarily even have to strike up a conversation, I don't like really, but if you even respond, I assume it's still
yeah,
gonna get to you.
I mean that's kind of a successful face to face. So I would say yeah. Currently it's uncontained. So that's great, yeah.
Yeah, that's reassuring.
And pretty much all they do is try and mitigate its damages. So I don't know, I guess when someone needs a social worker, it connects to that and basically will go out on a job instead of someone else. So that's kind of like fucking wild.
Wait, what do you mean when someone needs a
Because
social
because
worker?
it comes as a social worker, so it targets people that need social workers or are meeting with social workers.
Oh, I missed that part. What the fuck?
So
So
somehow it
so
has
yeah, it's definitely gonna catch on people then, because obviously people are gonna talk to a social worker, right?
yeah.
So it's like,
So it's pretty
no shit,
fucking
it's gonna
wild
catch
here.
people. Damn, that's some evil shit.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking raw, isn't it, dude?
Yeah.
I was kind of like thinking, like, that shit's fucked up.
Yeah. Anything that's like that, where it's like, it's a situation where someone's trying to benefit themselves by talking to someone or something like that, and then they just get fucked on for no reason, pretty much, just because they were seeking out, like, whatever it may be, and then that happens to them. That's really, like, I don't know, it kind of hits hard.
Yeah, I'm sorry, dude. It's just fucked up.
It's kind of like when this is not at all like that what am I trying to say? This is not really related, but it's kind of like when old people get those things that are like, you won a $3 million Amazon gift card, and the
Oh
old
yeah,
people don't
where
know any better.
just scammers just fucking getting over on old people and just
Yeah, because they don't know
absolutely
any
taking
better,
advantage of them.
or
Yeah.
even worse, or it's like, look, we have the cure for diabetes, and it's some old person that's like, I have diabetes, let's see what they have, and then they take your credit card information and do whatever scam shit that scammers do. It's just like, that's kind of what that reminds me of. Just the most evil, heinous like thing you can think of.
Yeah, dude, I've watched so many videos of scammers getting caught and just the lengths that they will go to fucking over old people and just saying horrible things.
Yeah, it's
And
crazy.
it's
like, how heartless can you possibly be?
yeah, shit like that, when people get caught doing that, I feel like you can just hear the shame when you force them to listen to what they were saying and doing, and you just like feel the fucking shame in their voice, like, you're a garbage human being. Everything that you stand for is fucking heinous, dude.
Yeah, I mean, do they have shame though? Like,
well, shame that
kinda,
you would get exposed to that. Yeah, they have shame when they get flamed on. They feel shameful. Even narcissists, if you shit on them, they'll feel shameful, but they'll just turn it into resentment,
yeah.
But yeah, that's a pretty
So,
good one, though.
yeah, it's a rough one. And pretty much, that's one of those, it would take a long time, but it could end the world. It's kind of similar to, like, the first one.
Yeah, it's
we,
like 096,
talked
yeah.
about.
Yeah, it'll take a while, but it probably happen eventually, I guess.
Yeah, and from what it says, I mean, it's just a mysterious being, so I don't necessarily know. I guess you could trap it pretty easily, just looking at a picture or something. I mean, you could trap that really easily. in that case, you know. So I guess you could just call
What do you mean, just
social
looking at
workers.
a picture or something?
Well, if you had a bunch of SCP members look at this and go into a secured one of their bunkers or containment houses and stand there and basically set up to catch the thing, they'd be able to catch it pretty easy.
Yeah, right.
Because when you look at the picture, it comes to you no matter what. So you'd basically be able to reel it in and decoy yourself and catch a thing. And this, you could just call social workers and wait for it to show up.
Yeah, that is true.
But what is kind of scary about this, the thing that 096 has no mental capacity, it seems like. It just attacks whatever sees it. Whereas this thing seems like it's pretty clever. So it could just...
you're talking about 096 first. Okay.
Yeah, up for a second, yeah. And then I said this
Okay.
one, it seems pretty clever, so maybe if something calls a social worker and then can tell that it's a SCP agent, they just won't show up to those ones.
Yeah, I mean,
That would be
if
pretty
it's
wild.
smart, then yeah, there's probably no stopping it. That kind of goes for a lot of SCPs, honestly. The next one I'm gonna talk about is really smart too.
Alright, are you ready?
Yeah. So, hold on.
So SCP-682 is one you've probably heard of, and some other people probably heard of it too. It's like this reptile-like mass, and it's basically by all means invincible, and nothing can destroy it. At least not that we know of yet. All we can do, and it's very intelligent. It can speak. It can speak multiple languages, and it has a hatred for all life, not just humanity, just life, period. And it wants to kill everything. So the only thing you can do, it actually is contained, but barely. It's only contained because it has regenerative abilities. So all they can do is put it in an acid-resistant cell with acid, put it in the acid, and the acid will burn it away so consistently enough that it can't regenerate, but it won't destroy it. It won't kill it. It'll only incapacitate it for as long as there's acid in the cell. So they just, there's no known way to destroy it because it's just so strong.
Well, let me ask you this. So, let's say basically one of the gods of the SCP world, like the Scarlet Knight or something, that is basically able to just destroy the universe or destroy a world. If something destroys the world, does it destroy all these basically invincible things that are already here? Like, how the fuck does that work?
Well, I imagine if one of those cosmic beings destroyed the world, then that thing would probably get destroyed with it. I doubt it'd be like an exception, just because those things are so powerful. I mean, look at it this way: we can, as measly humans, we can incapacitate the thing. So, I mean, imagine what they can do. They can probably easily destroy the thing if us, by ourselves, can almost destroy it. Not quite, but we can almost destroy it. So a higher being most definitely will have the power to kill that thing, I imagine.
Yeah, I'd agree. It's just as funny how all these things are basically near invincible, but all it takes is something with a bigger sledgehammer to actually fucking just do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of funny how that shit works.
So, and this one is not as much as the Scarlet King, but this one could, or the other one I'm going to talk about, but destroy the world probably a lot faster than the previous ones we talked about, just because it's smart and it has a hatred for all life and it's invincible. So it's like it almost has everything going for it. So if it got out, it's like, I guess it's honestly all over, because you'd never be able to get it in enough. You'd never be able to get enough acid on it while it's out and about to
to stop its regenerative abilities. It's only if it's completely engulfed in it that it doesn't regenerate. So that's it's over if that thing gets out.
So what does it do to you exactly?
Well, it has like it's like a crocodile type thing, so I think it kind of just like eats you. Has like big jaws and shit, so I think it just I don't know if it eats you, but I think it just like mauls you to death.
Well, the one thing about that too is it is pretty big from what I saw of it. You could probably hide in plenty of places where there's no way that the thing could get in. And since it doesn't technically have any like supernatural powers per se, you could probably just like hide people in like concrete bunkers, or like build a bunch of concrete bunkers around cities, and then you would basically just seal the world off from it, and then you wouldn't like hit with it at all.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, I just read this too. It gets its regenerative abilities and all its abilities. It's really strong and stuff. Gets stronger the more people it eats, because it like absorbs organic tissue. So and it gets stronger from that. So the more people it gets, the harder it's gonna be to hide people from it. So it all depends on how many people it gets before you make these like theoretical bunkers, because if it gets a lot of people, it's probably, I would assume, gonna get through that in some way.
Yeah, I mean, it basically sounds like Godzilla, like zombie
Yeah.
Godzilla.
Yeah, it actually kind of does. Yeah. It's not massive like Godzilla, but I guess it could. I don't know if it necessarily gets bigger the more people it eats. I mean, I'm not sure about that. I know it just gets a lot stronger. It probably does get bigger if I was to guess. Basically, it's just zombie Godzilla.
So I guess it's kind of just like a fucking a zombie Komodo dragon.
Yeah.
Damn near.
Yeah, pretty much actually.
And it just fucking is relentless and eats people like Komodo dragons do.
Yeah.
That's pretty wild. I don't know how I feel about that, dude. I feel like it'd be cool to see it, honestly. Like if I saw that shit walking down the street, I'd be like, "Yo, what the fuck?"
Yeah, it's like, what is that? Undiscovered species.
Yeah, I'd just be like, "Yo, this street's crazy." All right. I guess the next one I wanted to talk about was SCP-3288.
Yeah, I was reading about that, and if it's the one I'm thinking of, and I don't think I really understood it.
So, you want me to like describe it first?
Yeah.
Okay, so basically, it goes down to inbreeding, and you probably heard of the King of Hamburg, right?
I'm not sure.
So basically, the Hamburg Dynasty is like might be the second or third longest dynasty in all of Europe. So it's basically just a giant family of monarchs and shit, and one of them is this guy. I can't remember which prince he was or king he was, but it's basically the really famous portrait of the guy who like his face is basically the shape of a fucking banana.
I don't think I know that portrait, or maybe I will if I saw it.
I'll send it to you so you can put it up on the
Okay.
Habsburg Dynasty. So did you see the picture?
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen that before.
It's a really famous picture when people talk about inbreeding, because basically that that family inbred like crazy. Like it's pretty much one of the most inbred. And some of those rulers were really famous rulers that like had massive impact on the earth at the time. and have had like a massive impact through history. And basically, what it is allegedly these creatures were part of the Habsburg Dynasty, and when the Habsburg Dynasty fell or whatever, and there was no more leaders, they went down underground and basically just kept inbreeding, and inbreeding to the point where they just had a bunch of, recessive traits and mutated traits from all the inbreeding.
Jeez.
And they turn into these fucking crazy monstrosities that like eat people and are like super pale and have a bunch of disorders, but also become superhuman, essentially.
Is that due to inbreeding, or is that something else? Okay.
It's due to inbreeding, and I think as it goes on, I mean, it's a long story.
Okay.
But it goes on about the last king of the Habsburg Dynasty basically got into the occult because he didn't want his family to lose their their titles and all that. So he worked with a witch, and then he did a bunch of occult shit, and I think he basically killed the witch and took a bunch of her like knowledge, and he basically did a spell or summoned something or did a spell, and then went down and basically continued his gene pool.
Jeez.
And then it just over time they spread to everywhere, and they live like in subterranean tunnels. So they lived in like a bunch of tunnels under Austria, and
So they're just like a like underground society, kinda.
yeah, and they're just all family, and they had one of them contained. Basically, they had one of them contained, and it's the guy. He could talk, but he talked in basically an old Austrian dialect, so it was like hard to communicate with him because it was like a dialect that hadn't been spoken in really long. And he basically told them about all the other pockets that they spread out into, and just the fact that they're all the fuck over. And it was considered a Euclid when it was first discovered, and I think now it's up to a Keter, because they discovered that like the shit is spreading, and they're just like there's a lot of them. And I guess that the main ones got figured out, all the rest of them just like got stirred the fuck up,
Jeez. I mean, they've been around for a long time, then. Because this Habsburg dynasty is pretty old, I imagine.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
they've been around for a really long time.
Yeah, end of the Middle Ages, maybe end of the Renaissance.
Okay.
So
yeah, and plus that portrait looks really old too.
Yeah, maybe like 1600s. Maybe a little earlier, maybe a little later. But I mean, that's still pretty fucking old. I mean, that's older than what we understand as America.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really old.
I mean, that's also like I guess I can't say like who knows. Obviously, like scientists would know, I guess, but like the effects of inbreeding over the course of what, like thousands of years or something. Like who knows what the effects would be, right?
Yeah, I mean, that would be pretty wild if there would have been a family that inbred for literally thousands of years. I mean,
yeah,
that would probably.
Who knows what the effects of that could be? I mean, I don't know.
I mean, it would just. I guess it'd be something like you either grow to adapt to all those problems, so you probably end up with like some crazy ass features and crazy ass effects.
Yeah.
And shit, just to combat the fact that like your gene pool is fucked up. I feel like you would eventually just a bunch of your genes would be mutating and shit just to keep up with surviving.
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, our bodies kind of just evolved to what we have to deal with. So I assume they would adapt. So that's kind of a scary thing to think about.
There's this family that this guy interviewed that does basically, he interviews people and shit, and he went down to West Virginia, I think, and that's something you should watch. It was kind of hard for me to watch, but you should fucking watch it. I watched it and I was like, this shit put me in a bad fucking mood. So don't watch it right now, but
Alright.
I'll send it to you later. But yeah, pretty much, I think it's supernatural, kind of, because of like occult shit. And then
Right.
they kind of just had biology and the occult meld together into a fucking monstrosity.
Yeah, that's kind of insane.
But at least if you got way more members and you basically just made everyone a member and drained them, you could go in every city subterranean, like tunnels and shit like that, and wipe them out pretty easy. I mean, like relatively.
Yeah, I guess you could.
Or if you just flattened every single city, like you just took the infrastructure out of every single city and let everything drop down 20 feet, then I think you'd gain the same fucking thing.
Yeah,
Doesn't seem that practical.
yeah, I mean, just collapse like everything. It's like, alright. I don't know.
It's like SpongeBob or like Patrick. We need to push Spaghetti Bottom somewhere else.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's still pretty scary just because who the fuck knows?
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's not too much else to say about that one. It's a lot more detailed and goes a lot farther. But the fact that it was kind of connected to a real world family that was super powerful for a long time and was super inbred, I was kind of like, you know what? I don't like how fake this sounds, yet how close it fucking sits.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't, like, yeah, it sounds kind of unrealistic, I guess, just because of that ending part where it's like they get like mutations and stuff. But it's also, I don't know, it kind of is baked in with reality because, like I was saying, who knows what the effects of inbreeding would be over thousands of years, right? So I think there is a little bit of believability to it.
Yeah, that's totally fucking kind of like, I don't know. It's just the way that I think it was a pretty well put together one because I was listening to it like, you know what, I don't like
Yeah,
this.
I think that's, I mean, obviously there's more to it than you explained, but I think that sounds pretty well written and stuff.
Yeah, like I said, it's a lot longer, and basically they go through a whole interview with one of the creatures who is basically like the oldest one, I think. So you had one more to talk about, right?
I guess I can do this last one. Okay, so SCP-2317 is technically, the SCP is a door to another dimension, and the door is the SCP because that is the part of it that's in our dimension, if that makes sense. So when you go in this door, there's a 7 pillars, and there's like a planet-sized being underneath the ground, and it's held by 7 chains. Each pillar is a chain, but 6 of them are broken. And when it's like a devourer of worlds, pretty much. So it's basically, if it gets out, our dimension is the first thing. It's like the closest to it, so our world will be the first to go. And if the last chain breaks,
connected to the door?
Yeah, the door leads straight to our dimension. And
can't we just like put a lock on that door and lock it?
I mean, the thing is like a god, pretty much. So it's just gonna, I mean, it's not like the door, it can't get to our dimension because it's just a small door. Like, it would just force its way into our dimension because our dimension is, in this plane of existence, is the closest to its dimension. However that works. But
let me ask you this: wouldn't it be pretty fucking funny if the scientists put a lock on the door and that actually it couldn't figure out the lock because it didn't have a key.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe that's how it is.
And it was like, oh, this fucking door won't open.
Well, it can't
I've been
destroy our
spending
world
2
now.
million years trying to get out of these chains, and I get out and the fuckers lock the door on me.
Yeah, it's just a simple padlock. It's like, damn, don't know the combination. Guess I can't destroy the world. But yeah, the 6 chains broke over time, and the 7th chain is going to break, and there's nothing anyone can do about it. It just will break because they just break over time. But the SCP Foundation personnel are basically everyone except super high class, the most classified, like high ranking dudes are the only people that know that it will break and there's nothing you can do about it. But they tell everyone else that if you do a ritual every day for this being, it can like, as long as you do that, it'll stop the last chain from breaking, or at least delay it. But that's not true. They just tell them that to keep their morale, and so they don't lose their mind and think it's only a matter of time before they just get swallowed and Thanos snapped out of existence, pretty much.
Well, who chained it up in the first place?
I think the Scarlet King chained it up. I think that's actually the lore behind it.
Really? Can you verify that real quick? Because that's like...
I'll check, because I'm pretty sure that's
pretty
what I read. Those two are like related. I mean, it makes sense that they're related. They're both insanely powerful. So, oh, and also, the chains are like, you can't just create chains and like yourself. Like human materials cannot hold it. Whatever the chains are made out of is like we don't have access to it. So
did it say it was the Scarlet King?
I'm looking that up now.
Because then the Scarlet King could always just re-up on those chains.
Yeah.
And there are people that pray to him and that have contact with them, I believe.
I like it mentions the Scarlet King on his wiki page, but it doesn't say he like put him there. It just says, I don't actually, maybe they're not related, but it does mention him. Its designation and possible identity as the Scarlet King is a reference to SCP-2317. Its designation is a reference to the Scarlet King or something. I don't even know. I don't even know what they're trying to say.
So people are saying it could be the Scarlet King?
I guess so.
I guess we're saying we don't know what this thing is, but it could be the Scarlet King.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know about the Scarlet King, but if we've never seen the Scarlet King, then maybe people do think it is the Scarlet King, possibly.
I think we are pretty aware of the Scarlet King, from what I remember. Like we're pretty aware, and we have like captured a bunch of its cult members that worshipped it, and basically got a lot of intel from them on what it is and what it does, type of shit.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I guess they're just two separate beings, like entirely. But that one is like not quite as strong as the Scarlet King. Not quite as like, it's not quite as like powerful as the Scarlet King, but that's still like one of the most dangerous SCPs. It's basically just there to end the world, and that's it.
Yeah, maybe we could look up the Scarlet King and do like an episode just on that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, that one is super fucking wordy and has like a bunch of lore behind it.
Yeah, some of them are really expensive, so
I would say the Royals was pretty expensive. I could have went pretty far into that, but I was like, I don't think it's like fruitful to say the whole fucking
yeah,
thing.
I mean, we kind of didn't really have time anyway. Well, guys, thanks for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed. Don't get killed by the Scarlet King. Not that you can help it, and we will see you guys next time.